Committee versus policy development. We could bring those recommendations for policy development, but this committee is not one that does develop policy. And then reporting on any particular actions or behavior that may occur, and really just keeping things and communication moving forward, and we'll see how we develop. Now, we talked about it in terms of having it to be a police committee, and conversations with Mr. Siri indicated that he thought it made sense to broaden the scope to public safety and include the fire departments and the emergency operations center as well. So that's up for discussion, and then this would be a subject to freedom of information. We'd have to post the agenda. There would be minimal minutes required. I don't think we'd have to have a recording secretary, but someone there would have to take some kind of notes. And I don't know that it would have to meet more than quarterly. It would depend on the schedules of everybody else and what we're doing. So that's kind of how I see this. And I throw it open to the board for their consideration or discussion. Mr. Siri, you want to?
No, I like the idea very much. I think it gets a chance, especially by opening it up to all of public safety, the fire department, everything. You can look at and assess the needs of each of the various departments and so forth. And then I think as time goes on, you could see it emerging into something where you maybe look beyond that too, as to getting involved in some policy and so forth. But I think initially it'd be a great idea just to get the feedback or have an avenue for the emergency services, police department, fire department, to have a commissioner and a committee to at least bring their concerns to, and then get forwarded to the full board through,
Committee
elected representatives on the board.
Okay. Ms. Hardy, Mr. Wilson, Mr. Cheeseman, anybody want to?
No. Sounds great.
Did you get any feedback from other towns as to how they structure their public safety committees?
Well, I looked at some models. I mean,
Yeah.
I didn't, it was also different. I figured that with Sergeant San Juan here, he could offer his insights with how he wants to do it. It's just that. So it's, I thought it'd be kind of a work in progress. We did have this once upon a time, as Ms. Hardy said at the last meeting, and I believe it was kind of laid out in similar fashion. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we're just kind
Okay,
of
so we'll
doing
just
that.
sort of, as we
Yeah.
go along,
Yeah.
adapt and,
Yeah.
okay.
Right?
Yeah.
That's kind of what I see. I don't think it would need a budget, but
No, I think
you're not gonna have T-shirts or anything.
it's something that's gonna evolve, and it will come to be within whatever those subjects that come up, and that's what's going to drive the whole thing.
Yeah. So the question, how many people do we think from the Board of Selectmen, and how many people, if any, from the citizens at large do we want to have? Do we just want to have it a Board of Selectmen representation? I think you may want to have one or two. For example, General Perkins, who is now the Assistant Deputy Director of the Veterans Affairs Administration, helped us along with
Steve Reblowski.
Steve Reblowski,
Yep.
and one other person that did the work on the rules and regulations. That type of committee. So we want to grab somebody from a retired law enforcement person. We might want one or two of them. Yep. Thinking.
Yeah, I think it would be good to have, at least, obviously a representative from the police department, the fire services as well, a couple, possibly two from the Board of Selectmen, and then, and it might be nice to reach out to somebody from the community at large, though, too, so someone in the community feels as if they have some type of input and ownership in this as well.
Was that how they did it last time, Roseanne? Did they have somebody, or was it just a Board of Selectmen liaison?
It was Board of Selectmen liaison, and we did have more than one representative from the police department.
Okay.
I can't recall quite how many. This was, of course, before we had sergeants and everybody.
Overtime and all that?
No.
There was never a time when we didn't have
no.
overtime.
So,
Oh.
I think that there were 2 or 3 police officers, and that was the extent of it. It was a police subcommittee as opposed to public safety.
Okay. What do you think of expanding in the public safety thing, given your experience on the last one in terms of the workload?
I think that would perhaps be up to the the two people who are going to be representing the Board of Selectmen to perhaps discuss that and then come back to us at another meeting, next
Okay.
meeting, and we make appointments.
Yeah, I could envision it being a quarterly situation, and I would also say that we should probably get a dispatcher or someone from that spot up there involved in it also,
That's a good
Um,
idea.
because they're intricately involved in what goes on in dispatching everyone that we're talking about. But I would think 4 times, I mean, maybe,
Yeah.
I mean, it might change, but I mean, that might become something if there's an issue. I mean, and you've got something going on, but I think you're probably looking at, 6 or 7
Quarterly.
people maybe that are from every agency
Okay.
and go from there and,
right.
see where it goes. I agree with you. I think it's something that's gonna evolve and maybe take on different legs at different times, that's all.
Okay.
So what do we need?
Do we need volunteers? I know,
Do we need a
I'd be-
motion? Do we need?
I'd be interested in doing it, very much so.
Why don't we ask Mr. Siri, and I think previously it was suggested Mr. Wilson, because of his past police experience, to put their heads together and come back to us at the next meeting with some recommendations as to the makeup of the committee as far as
Be happy to do
positions
that.
are concerned.
Excellent idea.
Yeah,
And then,
okay.
and then.
So I don't know that we need a motion for that. We just have a consensus.
Yeah, we'll
that
come back with,
occur, and
we'll
have
come
sections,
back with
formal
something for
motions,
you.
We'll deal
Yeah.
with it in the future, okay. All right? And then, my understanding, the admin sergeant will provide the coffee.
and the donuts.
Donuts for
Yeah.
that. They have plenty of donuts, we know that, but,
Sushi.
all right. All right, great. That's a good start. Ex officio reports?
I do not have one.
None of my committees have met since our last meeting.
Sardi?
Well, I guess it's up to me then. I apologize, first of all, to the board and to the few people that showed up in the audience. I don't know what happened, why the presenters from Eden Works weren't here this evening, but I will follow up, and my apologies, and I appreciate the first selectman at the last minute doing an amended agenda and putting space for them on the agenda. So I guess it will just be a mystery until our next meeting as to what happened. I attended the Planning Commission meeting. They reviewed an application which had come to them from the Zoning Commission to see if the applicant was consistent with the POCD, that would be the Plan of Development. And the request was to amend the zoning regulations to allow pet daycare and boarding facilities in the CB zone. So that would primarily be the downtown area. The commission ruled that the application was inconsistent on the basis of many unanswered questions that were within the policy. And so that will go back to zoning now for further discussion and action by them. Also, there were existing vacancies on the Planning Commission, and as you're all aware, any commission has 30 days to fill their own vacancies. So they filled the existing vacancies with Mr. Frank Belantic, who had previously served on the commission, and likewise Ms. Francine Swartz, who also had previously served, and they were appointed to 4-year terms as full members. Ms. Alice Thurlow was appointed as the alternate, and that leaves 2 alternate vacancies for the Board of Selectmen to fill when we do our appointments.
Who was the alternate, I'm sorry?
Ms. Alice Thurlow, she is
She was one of the people running, right?
Yes, she was.
Okay.
She's the alternate, and so that leaves 2 vacancies as alternate positions. And because the 30 days is up, that will fall to us to fill those when we discuss our appointments at the next meeting.
Guess not.
So as ex officio, I've discussed this with the chair, Mr. Shuck, and we will have a couple of names to forward for consideration by the board at our next meeting.
We just had someone swearing in, I'm sorry if I may jump in, are you
Yes.
included? Somebody just swore in as an alternate from the.
Schwartz, but she moved up.
No,
No?
it was a gentleman,
John Birmingham was sworn in today, but
zoning alternate, I believe. Was he planning alternate?
he was planning
I think there was a
alternate.
planning alternate sworn in, so I don't think you have 2 vacancies.
We
There
had-
may be 1 vacancy, but
Well, this was not discussed by the planning commission last
Yeah.
night, nor approved by them, and it's their call.
He was elected in the,
Well, no, he was elected
Elected.
in the general election and was sworn in at Monday's inauguration, and I don't have his.
we had 2 planning alternates elected.
Yeah,
Okay,
so,
Yeah, I don't
so
think
we'll
he-
have
he
to
wasn't
check on
there.
that, and then I don't believe they can appoint for a 4-year term. Any appointment by a board
Well,
or commission
I-
after,
I thought of that.
has to be at Stanford at the next election, so they're on at a 2-year term.
I thought of that and thought of the technicality that's arisen in that both of those people were candidates and we had the problem with,
Yeah, what happened with the planning was that the entire board was up for election, which is unusual. And the charter provides that half the board gets elected every 2 years, so you have continuity. But they had 3 people run
Three.
for full 4-year terms, and one person, Mr. Covino, I believe, run for 1 2-year term.
correct.
So that left 2 2-year terms really to be filled, but 5 people ended up running for the 4-year terms, select any 3. So there were 3 elected, which caused this need for last night. So the 2 folks that were elected or appointed last night should be for 2-year terms. That would solve the problem. But then those 2 plus Mr. Covino, I believe, would run for election at the next municipal cycle.
In
So
2015,
in
yeah.
2015, and the 3 that were elected this year for 4-year terms would then roll over for the next one. So then we'd be back on track for 4-year cycles.
Well, I just signed those appointments, so I can get those back if I didn't happen to check the date on those.
Yeah.
But I'll check before I leave.
We can
and we
ask
can redo that.
Darlene to work with the town clerk tomorrow to make sure that those appointments are for the 2
So
years.
if that's the
I'm sure
case-
she'll catch that, but.
If that's the case, and Mr. Birmingham went to be sworn in, then the remaining alternate position could be filled
Okay.
by any party. Mr. Birmingham being a Republican, Ms. Thurlow a Democrat, so the third alternate could be any party or unaffiliated.
We have 2 alternates were elected. We ran 2 alternates.
Who-
Mike Hess.
Like, yeah.
And he was there
Mike
last,
Hess and John Birmingham were the 2 planning alternates elected.
okay, there are no alternate positions then.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Where's that?
So we'll just ask Darlene to kind of help quarterback that through tomorrow with the town clerk to make sure that that's all set. But those good. That's both Mr. Belanik and Ms. Schwartz had long previous. I know that Ms. Schwartz was a chairman at one time. I don't know if Frank did that, but they're both Democrats that were elected, and so that handles the minority representation, and we just got to manage the
Well,
term.
it
I
fills,
think
it
we'll be
fills
good.
the board, so,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
is awesome.
Yeah.
You know, it's
Yeah.
done.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So that's good. Okay. And I'm sorry to interrupt you.
That's
There's any
fine.
other,
No.
any
That's
other
fine.
comments on
I'm
planning?
set, thank you.
Let's work it out.
Anything else?
No, I'm set, thank
Okay.
you.
I have zoning met on November 21st, and there were a number of applications that had been continued but that were then approved. Thomas and Terry Uhas had approval for a special permit for agricultural use to keep and house various farm animals. That passed. Theodore Harris appeared to modify the gateway application, and by increasing the number of units from 275 to 280, that was approved. The CAM site plan review for the repair to Crescent Beach, which had been an ongoing issue. Mr. Nielsen of DACO presented again and explained his plan, and the zoning commission approved the application because it was consistent. And there was a request to waive ownership requirement for access way for a back lot, and that was approved, and that was the meeting.
Ms. Cheeseman, could you tell us where the request for farm animals,
Yes.
the location of
It
that?
is,
Giants Neck Road.
yeah, 36 Giants Neck Road, Niantic. They have 37 acres.
Thank you.
It was approved, suggesting that no roosters be allowed, and they use best practices for waste disposal, so. The feeling was on 37 acres, the roosters were probably pretty far away, but that was the location.
Thank you.
I've seen a rooster there.
Yes, sir. Dickerson?
No report.
I attended the sector annual meeting, and where the new executive director, Mr. McKenzie, was introduced formally to the general membership and those at large, and we listened to an economist, as I spoke about the other day. I attended Alan Taylor's mother's wake. Mrs. Taylor was a longtime community service here, and wake and funeral service, actually. And our deepest sympathies go out to the Taylor family. I attended a meeting of the Darrows Ridge Homeowners Association to discuss issues related to that subdivision. There was a conference call from the Murmur Board of Directors, so we're winding down. Murmur, as you know, has been assessing us for that 2008 calendar year, and we're kind of working through those issues. We went up Jamie Wado's last night at Dispatch, went up and had pizza and said goodbye to her. She's moving to a full-time job in Hamden, I believe, where I believe her husband works in the fire department
Yeah,
down
I
there.
believe so, something like
So
that.
they're moving down that way. We had a Council of Governments Executive Committee meeting this morning. I did meet with the DEP and members of the Crescent Beach Association, Mr. Mulholland, Mr. Nielsen from DACO, and a few other folks out at Crescent Beach. And we toured that the other day, trying to get that moving to make sure that, one, we can get the necessary permits, and two, that we can get the approval of the plan that would be consistent with what FEMA will fund. So there's a lot of
Yeah.
discussion down there, but we're really working through that bluff, and I wanted to make sure everybody understood that that it was an important part of the town and the public walkway. So that's why I had attended a meeting in Hartford with that same group a few weeks before. So it seems hopefully that's going to move forward. I attended a healthcare presentation today on new low-cost clinics and how they're moving into communities and reducing healthcare costs for town staff and local businesses. We had an exciting event the other day here we had a wedding that we performed here in the town hall. Darlene was one of the witnesses, and so I performed a wedding for Michael Goss and Rosemarie Geisen. They needed to get married by the end of the year to satisfy health insurance requirements. So we were happy to provide that service. The holiday stroll was last Saturday. Downtown was full of people, and we lit the Christmas tree, and it was a great event. Kudos to Niantic Main Street and all the downtown merchants for participating in that. The inauguration and swearing in of the elected officials was Monday. Congratulations to all of you and all of those who were sworn in. I thought it was a nice event. We honored Ed Morris and Mary Cahill for distinguished service to the town. I was both happy and proud that my brother was able to speak and share his experiences of 36 years in the military. And Olivia, as nervous as she was, belted out the Star Spangled Banner with Paul Lucier. I thought she did a great job. So it was kind of a proud day to do that. And then finally, I got a box of assorted cheeses today sent to me by the first selectman of Colchester. I had put up a crate of Scott's apples and apple cider for the East Lyme Bacon football game, and we pulled that out in the last second. So we'll have cheese to enjoy from Colchester and East Lyme as a result of him paying his.
It will go well with the apples.
Yeah. So that's my report for this evening. Any public comment? Any selectmen response or comments?
I would just
Sorry?
like to comment on how festive the downtown area looks. It's very pleasant to drive down here for the meeting tonight and drive down Main Street and see all the new light poles wrapped in garlands, and just very cheery.
Yeah.
And we should remind everyone at 6:30 on Saturday evening is the 25th anniversary of the Light Parade. So get there early or you won't get in.
And
Will
there are
you be
events
in the
all day,
parade,
holiday
Mr. Wilson?
festivals all day
I have to
long?
go and work on a float. I told them
Yeah.
maybe by 9 o'clock I could get back.
Could you
So
tell
we'll
us
be
what,
expecting to see you in the parade?
Oh, yeah.
are you allowed to tell us what the float is yet?
I can't get into
I
that.
didn't think
you
so.
know.
I think
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
tight secret.
It's
so.
all under wraps.
Good.
Yeah. No,
there
but
will
it should be a phenomenal evening. I mean, it doesn't sound good on Friday, but it looks like it's gonna clear up, so.
Yeah.
Festivities all day, too.
Yeah, and you've got
Charter,
the
festival
whole,
and all
the
kinds
whole
of
Winter
stuff
Fest going
Going on
on, yeah.
downtown, so it'll be from the afternoon on, and, you know, that should be a good thing. Weather should be somewhat warm, it's supposed to be.
Yeah, it's not gonna be crazy, yeah, it's just, we gotta get through the rain on Friday, that's all, yeah.
Okay, anything else? Anybody from the public like to speak? Mr. Fiango, are you?
Nobody?
You good?
Mr. Dixon?
Thank you for coming.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, then,
Have a
motion-
good
To
night.
adjourn?
motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you all for coming. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.